Aaron Tuttle here for Ferguson Roof Systems. For 43 years, Ferguson Roof Systems has been protecting Oklahoma's homes and businesses with quality roofing services. Their goal was to be the most honest and dependable roofing company in the state, all while providing free services such as lifetime labor warranty and annual inspections. Well, mission accomplished with thousands of client testimonials, an A+ Better Business Bureau rating, and a 5-star rating on Google. Look, the weather gives you enough to worry about, so why worry about who to trust with your roof? Call Ferguson Roof Systems today or find out more at fergusonroofsystems.com.
All right. It was so painful. So painful. You have no idea how painful that was. Okay, so I got it. We're back up. So Facebook was being a pain royally. I don't understand what it was doing. It was irritating me. But I've got it done, so we should be good to go. Let me turn this stuff off here. Okay, turn off. I'm hearing noises. It's like... Although I got some software updates, and then Facebook obviously did some updates, and so between all of that, it's just irritating me. So let me see what else I got going here that I need to stop, because I don't want to hear any other noises. Okay, you stop. There. Okay, no more noises. All these noises to stop. Okay, where are you? There. I'm going to turn you off. Okay. I think I got the noises done. I don't know if you can hear them, but I can hear them. It's driving me crazy. All right, so that's what happens when you download new software and you haven't tested it yet. But anyway, thanks for joining me. It's late. It's 10 after 8, so while I was tap dancing there, some of you probably found out I'm live again, so I gave you a few minutes to jump in. So it's kind of a busy weather day today with the wind and the fires. There's a few fires out there. Let's see. Let's go ahead and jump into that. So here's a look at the state, and where you see these little red spots on the map here, North Oklahoma City, Northwest, even up around Cushing and in northern Oklahoma, there were some fires that kind of busted out and caused obviously some evacuations. That was a bad thing today, and we obviously don't want to see that again. Now, luckily, we're getting more moisture that piles in here for tonight, and then we're going to turn into some showers and storms tomorrow, so that'll kind of help with that facility. We won't have to see any more of these little hot spots like you see that one. It's a good one that shows up here. There was one there, one here, one over here. But anyway, so today was obviously pretty warm. We got into the 70s out there across Oklahoma, and even probably a few 80s. Try to sneak in on the border of Texas. Otherwise, we had winds up around, still pretty gusty, 20 to 30 miles per hour now. There's some spots up here close to 40 up here in northwest Oklahoma, like around the Enid and Lahoma, Fairview, Watonga. We had some gusts up around 50, and that's what kind of helped some of those fires get out of control. If you look at the Storm Prediction Center as far as the threat for severe weather tomorrow, they've outlined it here across the central part of the country as a storm system comes in. Now, we need the rainfall desperately. If you look at the precipitation category here for the month of October, again, this starts here on the 1st, goes all the way down, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. We will almost make the entire entire month of October without a single rainfall drop here at Will Rogers Airport. And we don't get any rain officially at the airport, which, you know what, is actually possible tomorrow, believe it or not. We may go dry for the month. So we'll see. We'll see how the new model data comes in here for this evening. Now, if you look at the fire danger threat for tomorrow, it's going to be out here across far western Oklahoma, where they're going to have some lower humidities along the dry line area, so some kind of a southwest wind. We'll have the moisture back here across central Oklahoma, so we won't have to worry about that too much. The severe weather risk, now as far as the breakdown is concerned, just on the west side of I-35, so basically from Enid down toward Yukon, east of Lawton down toward Duncan. So this area here is where the slight risk in yellow starts to take shape for golf ball size hail, winds up around 60 to 80 miles per hour. Now the tornado threat here is marked as low. It could be very low, actually, the data. So it's not like a high or medium thing. It is. We do have a mini severe weather season this time of the year, so it's not unheard of. Let me see. Anything else I want to show in here? Yeah, the tornado potential here in the green is for that low area, which does include the Oklahoma City area, very low out to the west, obviously. And then the timing on this, we are going to have a better opportunity for some storms as we head into the evening hours here into the blue shading. We have a slight risk of the storms trying to develop by late afternoon into the early evening here in the area here where you have the 1 column or the lighter blue. And then on Saturday, we have a lot of rainfall around here for the weekend. So we might actually have, I hate to say this, but we might actually have some brief flash flooding after we've had pretty much a drought for the last month or so here across the state. So that's obviously a big difference. If we do look at the severe weather risk and the fire threat here for the Tulsa area, let's go up here for the severe weather risk. They have a enhanced area here in the orange. Well, looks like more of a brown color, but regardless, that's up here across northwest Oklahoma. And then you've got yellow here for the rest of the body of eastern Oklahoma and into western Arkansas. Again, limited on the potential for a tornado. It goes from nil, which means nothing, to limited, to elevated, the significant to critical. So they do a little bit of different category in Tulsa than they do in Norman, just to try to get things more specific. Now, if you break it down, and we'll show you the pattern here, it does extend on into Kansas, all right, for you guys up north. It also extends down south in the Dallas-Fort Worth area as far as the slight risk is concerned. So again, the enhanced risk up there in the orange area. If you do look at the tornado area where it's more favorable, the Storm Prediction Center does highlight up here into Kansas with a little hatched area. So that'll be your more likely probability of seeing a couple of storms that may produce tornadoes here. Otherwise, it does dip down briefly into northern and northeastern Oklahoma as far as this little yellow shading goes. Otherwise, the avocado in the brown and then the green is typical for Oklahoma. We obviously, a lot of times will see these lighter colors here in many events as a very low probability. Look at the wind, damaging wind, better again appear to the area here in red, but also possible here elsewhere across into North Texas. And then the hail as well, same kind of deal, kind of a wide, larger area. So if you can see, the Storm Prediction Center favors a little bit more on the wind side than it does the hail side. Now the cause for this is this batch of energy kicking through from the Rockies into the central and northern plains. But I want to show you this. The energy here is kicking off to the northeast. This is the lift in the atmosphere, the vorticity, the spin, the lift, and that's more anchored, more focused across from Kansas up to the north. So what happens is you have less focus down here across Oklahoma. That means the cap can build in. You know what the cap does? It can make our storms not develop at all or become elevated, which again means more of a little bit of a wind and hail and not a tornado issue. And that's definitely on the table. We'll look at the high-res data here in just a second. But here's a look as we go through time for this afternoon and evening. You can see the big extra lift here that kicks off in this little enhancement in the computer model data, which does indicate where it likes to really favor those stronger thunderstorms here during the evening hours out ahead of the lift of the major storm. All right, let's take a look at the little lower areas down around 700 millibars, and we'll see the same thing here around 7 o'clock in the evening. Again, a lot of lift indicating a lot of storm development here across the Kansas and Nebraska and Iowa area, and it just barely dips in here into northern Oklahoma. Now, if we go through the next 3 hours, it does keep that going here for central Oklahoma on up to the north, so almost here to Oklahoma City. All right, and then as we go into the 9Z period, 6Z period, so midnight, it does continue to back build now south and east of Oklahoma City, down around the Ardmore area. So you can see here, it kind of almost keeps us, as in central Oklahoma, almost rain-free. Now, just as far as the lift is concerned, in other words, where the best ingredients are to produce these storms. But you can see it's nice and solid here once you get into southeast Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri during the overnight period. So what that means is not everyone's going to get wet with a storm system. It's going to be mostly an eastern Oklahoma event with it kind of, splitting out the difference here across central Oklahoma. Let's take a look at a couple of high-resolution models. So for tomorrow morning, by the way, we are going to see a few scattered areas of clouds and some sprinkles, some of those light showers. There's some here southeast Oklahoma City. These won't amount to much, just enough to kind of get your windshield wipers going maybe once or twice. Nothing for the rainfall buckets going to really matter. As we head into the afternoon hours, though, we'll start to see some more development trying to get going here across western Oklahoma on the dry line and up here into Kansas. This is around 6 o'clock, and there's 7 o'clock around Enid. And here's more trying to develop back here northwest of Lawton. This is 7 o'clock in the afternoon and evening. Now, what happens is you look here, the temperatures aren't going to be that warm today, or warm tomorrow. Okay, so let's see here. We have a convective temperature on the forecast sounding of 82 degrees. The model thinks it'll be about 71. What does that mean? That means we don't reach our convective temperature, which means the storms will be elevated in nature. If they're elevated in nature, they typically don't produce tornadoes. Now, they can produce some hail and wind, but they don't produce the nasty, scary stuff, which is good because the wind shear is actually quite favorable for tomorrow for rotating storms, and it would be favorable for tornado genesis. But because we have that little fly in the ointment as far as temperatures not being warm enough, then that is an issue that we have on our side as far as trying to reduce that probability. Okay, so that's kind of what's going on there with those. We go up here to Enid, same kind of deal in this little vicinity. Let's take a look. Temperature right around 73 degrees for the surface. A convective temperature right around 78. So again, that means we're capped in the atmosphere, which means they should be elevated storms. All right, so that's what we have. That's the good news that we have for you. It's not going to be a done deal when it comes to tornadoes, according to the high-res NAM model. All right, let's go into a couple more frames here. 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. Let's go to 10 o'clock. You see this nice line of storms back building now from Kansas on into northern Oklahoma. Let's see. Let's go into the 11 o'clock hour. There we go. We got some storms bubbling up here right on top of Oklahoma City. All right, so that was like almost too little too late, but it did make it. But that may not mean the west side doesn't get much rain, right? Here's midnight, so it does have that stuff going on now south and east, continuing to build. There's some helicity tracks built in here, so it does indicate some strong enough thunderstorms to produce some pockets of wind and hail with some of those. But when it usually lines out like this is a squall line. So a squall line typically means hail and wind. Now sometimes you can have, we call a QLCS tornado, which is one of those leading edge tornadoes. I call them the baby tornadoes typically. And that can happen on a squall line, but they're not the typical supercell type tornadoes that can get really strong, long-lived, and do a lot of damage. So if we end up getting a couple of those, that's par for the course, and those are usually very weak, very transient, very short-lived, which is good. All right, so that's 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock, 4, just moving on into southeast Oklahoma, and it's all said and done. So that's what the NAM looks like. Let's see, let's take a look at the HRRR. Now, the difference on the HRRR is it has a bias of drying things out too much, so it may not produce a whole lot of storms early on. Here's 5, 6 o'clock. Yeah, and it also has a bit more to the east. It does have more of a cellular structure to it, though, which means it kind of breaks up here into some individual cells. But because of the dry air bias on it, it has too much low-level dry air here at the surface, which allows it to heat up too much around 77, but it still has a convective temperature of 87. In other words, it still says these are elevated thunderstorms. It means they're not rooted in the boundary layer, which means they cannot be tornado producers. So that's good news if, again, this were to verify. Let's see here. We'll go to 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. It starts to line out here. So there'll be some probably moderate, borderline severe storms. Looks like the way things are going to go here across central, northern, and eastern Oklahoma. And you'll have pockets of severe weather here and there. It won't be a widespread severe weather event, but needless to say, this kind of model kind of mimics what the other one does. Nice squall line moving through southeast Oklahoma overnight. Okay, let's take a look here at a couple of the experimental runs that we have here, and we'll see if they show anything different than what we looked at here a minute ago. Let's switch gears. Let's go to this new one. It's just now coming in. This one is so late. Oh, lame. All right, well, it's not going to make it in. That's okay. We'll go without it. All right, let's take a look at the other one. Let's see, any of those new come in? Yeah, we'll do this one. Okay, so we'll see what this one says. And we got that development here. It's a little bit more favorable for development, for more of a squall line look here by 5 and 6 o'clock developing. Northwest side of Oklahoma City and out to the west, and also up here in northern Oklahoma. All right, so there is the 7 o'clock hour. Kind of breaks up. Looks like the cap holds and doesn't allow a whole lot of stuff going up here on the southwest side of Oklahoma City. Keeps things more favorable to the north. We had the better dynamics, the better lift in the atmosphere. I can't argue with that. These are clusters, storm clusters, so wind and hail within this. Very low tornado threat as a result. And then as we go into the, looks like 8, 9 o'clock, low level jet kicks in, gives a little extra boost as far as moisture goes, and some wind shear. And so it starts to produce that a little bit better of a squall line look to it. But again, these will be elevated because the cap will build in at this time as well. So this should again be non-tornadic. Otherwise, there's 9, 10 o'clock here through Oklahoma City. And then that line back builds all the way to the Red River, all up into southeastern Kansas and western Missouri. Then that moves on into southeast Oklahoma. Again, during the overnight hours, this also is a bigger picture for you guys up around Missouri and Arkansas and into North Texas, all the way down to Dallas-Fort Worth by daybreak tomorrow. Now, this will be a much weaker storm system by then because the storms always get much weaker in the morning hours when it's right around the daybreak. Just because the winds relax and decouple and a lot of other things happen, you just have a lot less instability to work with. So that's the big picture looks like that we have to work with. Let's take a look at the rainfall amounts with this one. Now, assuming things kind of work out, it's kind of what the models are hinting at. You do have some favorite areas of some very heavy streaks of rain up here to the north, some from around Tulsa to just about Oklahoma City and points to the east, and also down here in southeast Oklahoma. There's going to be around an inch, 2 inches maybe here in southeast Oklahoma briefly. And some of these torrential downpours, especially if you get some training of some storms, one on top of another. But we definitely need the rain. So I'm not going to complain. I don't care what it is. I'll be happy to get it. I had my roof replaced the other day from that hailstorm that we had over a month ago here. And my grass is covered in this gross dusty, gray soot stuff. It gets all over your shoes, your socks. I want that stuff washed out. So hopefully I'll get some rain tomorrow. Okay, now let's take a look here at the temperatures. Big change, by the way. So I know you've probably been accustomed to the warm weather. So here's by tomorrow afternoon. We are into the 70s. Like I said, some 80s down here in southwest Oklahoma. Here's that front up there to the north. You can see how it's moving on into central Oklahoma. We dropped from the 70s to the 50s by midnight here in Oklahoma City. And we hold it to the lower 50s and upper 40s across northern and western Oklahoma. Even down at parts of eastern Oklahoma cools down. And then as we head into the afternoon, we're going to rebound you for your Thursday back into the 60s. It's going to be a great day. Oh, going to look really nice. But I love how the weather stays a little warm longer. I just like a little cooler weather for the fall. I just happen to like a little slightly cooler weather. Otherwise, back into the 40s we go for Friday morning, and then we'll probably rebound back into the 70s. Looks like. Let's take a look at that. By the way, here's your extended forecast as we head into the next few days. So we've got, 40s at nighttime here for Thursday and Friday. We'll get you back up to the 60s over the weekend. There's 58, 61, daytime highs. We're on the cool side now. So this is it. So we'll have our last probably hot day here on Wednesday. That's if we can hit this 80-degree temperature. Again, some of the models are showing a little cooler temperatures than that, which would keep that cap in place, which would keep those storms mostly on the elevated end. For giggles, we'll look at the AI, one of the AI outputs for the probability of tornadoes, where they favors the most highest probability, and it's not off the scale. It's on the low end of the scale. I know there's a lot of colors here, but it's here goes to 2% to 5% to 10%. So that's right here across northern Oklahoma and southeastern quadrant of Kansas. Otherwise, brown and green. Again, this brown and green is typical pretty much for any severe weather event where you have any amount of shear. Usually when you get into the red, pink areas, that's when you really pay a lot of attention, because that's usually when the probabilities of getting a tornado is quite higher. Even though the scale only says 10, 15, and 30%, I'd say it's a way to try to categorize, how common they will be. Even though that number's still low, it's a reference of from a point, all right, from 25 miles of a point. So in other words, the 30% probability, there would be a tornado from this point right here, from 25 miles around it. See what I'm saying? Because as that number scale goes up, odds go up that you're going to get a tornado in that area. But when they're down here in the low end, 5 or 10%, that's still pretty low. So that's good. So we want the low probabilities of all this kind of stuff. So there you go. All right, so that's what I had for you. Again, apologize for the late delay. I had some stuff to work out. That was frustrating, and it's hard to keep my sanity when that happens. Because I'm already in my mindset of what I want to talk about, and I got to lose track to go work on technical issues. But so what I'm going to do is I'll do a live tomorrow for lunchtime live, like in the old days. Since we do have some severe storms to talk about, we'll see if the cap is going to hold. We'll see if elevated storms will be in the forecast. We'll see if the trail threat goes up or down. We'll see if anything changes as far as timing or location. But for right now, if you're late and you're just kind of tuning in, you missed the whole thing. Bottom line is we're going to have a little round of some storms thanks to the storm system that's passing by to our north. We're on the tail end of it, so the bulk of the activity will be across Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, Missouri. And the tail end of it will be kind of moving through Oklahoma, mostly across the eastern half of the state. So west of I-35, it probably is a lot lower every 10, 15 miles you go west of there. Favorite areas of grouping is northern Oklahoma, because they'll be closer to that energy, that lift in the atmosphere, and then southern Oklahoma maybe from the heat. But otherwise, shear is pretty decent, so there'll be some rotation within these storms, enough to create the hail and the damaging wind. May not be enough to produce tornadoes if, again, they're elevated in nature, but if a couple of them do or get surface-based, and that is a probability, it's on the low end, but it's there. Let's see, and that squall line will develop quickly into the evening hours, and with the squall line, it's usually wind and hail. Sometimes you can get those little QLCS tornadoes. If you're new here, like, what's a QLCS tornado? It's a quasi-linear convective system. It's a big mouthful. It doesn't really matter. It just means baby tornadoes on the leading edge. It will squall line, and so that can sometimes occur. It'll be in and out of here. And then I will go ahead, that's it for tomorrow, and I'll go ahead and put in, I want to show you the extended, I haven't pulled it up yet, but we're going to look at it together, because I want to show you how much rain is potentially coming through Tuesday of next week, because it is ridiculous. All right, so we'll do that, and then we'll let you go. Okay, so let's go back here to the upper levels. This is the jet stream, by the way. All right, so we have that first system that's moving on by, right? And then watch right here to the northwest part of the country. So you see how this big spiraling mess takes shape? It's going to dig south, and so we're going to have a big, broad trough. So what happens is you get this big trough of heights, lower heights in the atmosphere, and what that does is it makes that jet stream dip out to our south and west, and as it comes across like so, it kicks up all that lift in the atmosphere, and it focuses it right over Texas, Oklahoma, basically the southern plains. So it's a great pattern to be in if you want widespread rain. And that's going to be with us, looks like, for a while. Let's go zip on into, we'll use the American model just for fun, just because I got to pick something just to kind of show you that look to it. All right, so you see how that little wave sets up? I mean, it is a big, elongated wave. So that's a lot of broad overall lift in the atmosphere. That's good news for us. That's through Monday. All right, and there's Tuesday. Kind of first wave kicks out here for Monday. And then you have more energy here on the back end that tries to, looks like, a load back up for Tuesday. Let's see. So there's Tuesday morning right there, and that moves on through. All right, so that's at least through Tuesday. It means Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and maybe as early as Tuesday, we'll get a nice little round of rain around here. Now that moves out, and look what happens behind it. Another one loads up here for Thursday, and this could be another severe weather maker. It's we won't talk about that right now, but point is, it's a good position for rainfall, and I want rain. If it has to come with a little bit of severe weather, so be it. That's the rain that we care about. Okay, now let's take a look at what that looks like when you're factoring in the rainfall. So we'll do this guy here. And we'll go total QPF. And I'll show you the southern plains in general. And I'm going to have to go to, we'll go with the GFS. And I'll do a model blend because not one particular model will be perfect. But if we blend them all together, it'll give you a better idea. Okay, so let's go through Tuesday. All right, so let's go back that up. Right here, the end of Tuesday. It's 174 hours out. All right, now that's just the GFS. Now let's just flip it through a few other different models that show up here. All right, so there is the the European AI model. All right. Whew. Look at that, 5 to 6 inches there, but 3, 2, 1, so widespread rain. All right, the European model itself has that same amount of rain, but it has it shifted way west. So all that heavier stuff is now in the western parts of Oklahoma versus the eastern parts. The Canadian says, let's just cover the whole state with that kind of stuff. 4, 5, 6, 7 inches of rain, 8 inches. What was that, 10 inches? Good grief, man. All right, the American, again, like you said, there's up 9 inches up north. Its AI version is up around 4 inches. The Icon model, it's a German model, and it goes 6, 5, 4. If you blend them all together, take a conservative approach, this is what it looks like through next Tuesday. So that's 5, 6 inches of rain. So that is a lot of rainfall. Now, will it rain the whole time? No. It'll be off and on. It comes in waves. I know a lot of you are probably going to have some plans. I know there's homecoming. There's all kinds of stuff going on this weekend. But that's something that we kind of have to get into the weeds for. And I can do a quick little look. We'll just look at the American model for the timing. Kind of give you a brief idea before I let you go of how that may evolve. Because when you're going day after day after day and you're trying to time it out by hour and hour, you're going to get a lot of noise and errors that start to introduce themselves as you go through the road. Okay, so here's Friday afternoon. All right, so by the way, after that stuff moves through, Thursday's looking great, remember? All right, so Friday morning, looks like we're going to have a little bit of light stuff try to develop into Texas. And by afternoon and evening, we may start to get some light precipitation breaking back out here in central and eastern Oklahoma. If you do look at the forecast sounding, we do have some dry air in here. Looks like so it's going to be mostly clouds and probably just some sprinkles. It doesn't look like it's going to be too heavy yet. But it may develop as we head into the overnight periods. You can see more and more green shows up. So it's kind of like the beginning stages of some moisture coming back in. All right, so there's Saturday morning. So here's the deal. Waking up. You got some, so if you have Friday evening plans, you're mostly okay. A few sprinkles, don't worry too much about it. Saturday, however, you wake up in the morning, looks like pretty wet. And then there's pockets of some very heavy wet rain. Right? And again, the model won't know the exact position, but it does have northern, western, eastern Oklahoma there for the afternoon hours, here from central as well. And then you might get a little bit of a break. Like I said, it won't rain the whole time. There's some dry periods there in the evening. But then it looks like it kicks up another heavy round overnight, Saturday night, and the Sunday morning. All right, and then it looks like we've got maybe some dry hours for maybe midday Sunday. Again, this is all, estimate at this point. Let's say it's to the afternoon, heavier rainfall redevelops again. So there you go, off and on, off and on, off and on. Let's go to Monday. There's some heavier stuff in the morning. Looks like that moves through. That may be it. Let's see what happens. It does have that rain for Tuesday morning across southeast Oklahoma, but the rest of the state looks like it's pretty dry. And then it kind of moves on into Tuesday night out to the east. And that's it. And then there's that Thursday storm system. There you go. There's a blow up there Thursday night and a Friday. Some very heavy rainfall there. And I did not look at the long-term rainfall for that. But we can do that just to see what this model does once it includes the other storm system for the following Thursday. And we'll see what it added to it. So again, this is just one model, just American, and it's got adds to it up to around 11 inches, so almost a foot of rainfall from all these systems here across southern Kansas and northern Oklahoma, a little spot there. Otherwise, widespread 4, 5, 6. So I have not seen a model be drier than this. Let's put it this way. All right. So this is a conservative amount considering everything else that we've had to look at this point. If I were to do a blend, we'll take it as far as it'll go, and it will only go through Friday the 8th, okay? Again, the conservative on the lighter end, still 4, 5, 6, 7 inches of rainfall. So that's pretty interesting. All right, we'll go with the European. And again, same idea, 4, 5, 6, 7. So they're all going to kind of stay the same. They're just going to kind of move the bullseyes around. But there you go. All right, so that is it for me. It is 10:30. It is time for me to get ready for bed. I'm sure it is for you. You're probably staying up late going, hurry up so I can go to sleep. Well, here's your chance. Go to sleep. And we will see you again tomorrow. I want to thank, again, you guys for joining, for all your support over the years and over the summer. Again, I was kind of gone there for a little bit. Had to take a little bit of a break, get my sanity back. I was starting to burn out on the weather. You don't want to burn out on the weather. But now we've got some storms in here. Obviously, I'm going to cover those for you. And the rainfall coming up. Again, I want to thank Ferguson Roof Systems for sponsoring my live broadcast. He was awesome. I had a personal one-on-one, interaction with him all day for my roof. I asked him every question under the sun. He was a good dude. I mean, he's good people. I love good people. So I wish everybody was good people. You can't always have all good people, but if we did, the world would be a better place. But anyway, so he's one of them. I got to give a shout out to Jamie for being a stand-up guy and doing a great job on the house. So very happy with the work on that. And I got most of my stuff replaced or fixed from the hailstorm. So it was good. So I'm good to go. I don't want another one, though. That was enough for me. Okay, you guys have a great night, and we will talk with you again on the next broadcast, probably right around 11:45 to noon, somewhere right around there tomorrow. And then again, tomorrow evening, again, I'll cover some storms. If it looks like it'll be tornadic, I'll cover those. If they're not, I may not. It just kind of depends on the magnitude of them, but I'll be around. You guys have a great night. We'll talk to you next time. See ya.